nobody wants to play at that bronze and silver medal, right? It's like we want to sit there and push it to the limits. We want to exhaust every avenue possible to make that vision and dream come true. Obviously, there's going to be people out there that are going to, really maximize their potential more. They're going to grind a little bit more. They're going to sit there and hustle a little bit more. They're going to put themselves in a better environment. So we try to get them to really buy into that mindset of maximizing your potential, because if some other can do it, so can you. You know what I mean? You just have to believe, and you have to have the mindset to do it.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Heart Healthy Hustle Show. We're here with my friends, Chris and Eric Martinez. Chris and Eric, what's up, guys?
Jonathan, what is going on, man? TGIF, thank you again for having us on. This is round 2. We're excited about that. I know Chris did a lot of stuttering and fumbling on round 1, so he said he's going to redeem himself.
Chris, what do you have to say to that?
Just pure silence, because he's the older brother by 1 minute, man, and he just jumped in first and give me.
All right. So listen, Chris, I can tell that you just don't even feel like having a comeback for that right now. So we'll get back to that. But I do have a question.
I'll get him later in the show.
Who am I talking to on Instagram? Is that both of you guys? I can never tell.
It's always me, Eric. This guy is really lazy. Like when it comes to like Instagram DMs, just all that stuff. So it's like I'm telling you, man, older brother by 1 minute has to take the lead with everything.
I don't buy it. But anyway, so guys, give us a brief glimpse into your personal lives and tell the listeners what's going on in your life right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are identical twins. You guys could see us on video. These eyebrows are humongous and probably taking up, at least 75% of the screen. But a little backtrack on our story. We lost our father when we were 18 years old. He passed away in a car accident. After that, our mother, turned to antidepressant pills and alcohol. So at that young age, Chris and I were just really lost. We went through a lot of adversity. I felt like we lost like 6 years of our lives. After that, we kind of just had a big epiphany to turn our life around. And, we had a choice, either keep going down that dark road, or we just, turn our adversity into a blessing in disguise and turn our messes into our messages. That's what we did. So we started our business, Dynamic Duo Training, about a decade ago, which is an online fitness and training consulting company. And then been working with thousands of clients all around the world. We've had high-level mentors the last 10 years in the fitness realm. And then, the last 5 years, we've been just, expanding our business. And we started a new business the last year called the Dynamic Inner Circle, where we're helping personal trainers, gym owners, anybody that's doing some form of coaching, and we're helping them get their business online, just showing the possibilities of working remotely, getting more freedom, time, creating more revenue streams. So we're really excited about that. That's really kind of like our backstory on us. And then just as of late, this year, man, it's crazy because, the whole month of January was like a blur. It went so fast, and we were just very busy with like taking on new clients on the fitness side of things. We opened up a new program on the fitness business side of the program called the Fitness Coaches Accelerator Program. Yeah, there's a lot going on, and we're doing our podcast and still trying to get our book out there. And, Chris is still doing some side hustles with teaching people how to pluck eyebrows.
Yeah, it's going to be an all day jab thing, huh, Jonathan?
Man, Chris, he's drilling you, man.
He is. I'm going to get him, though, when he's least expecting it.
Here's the worst part about being a younger sibling. They can do that, and then they'll do the jabs, and you're like, all right, well, here's a right hook, 10 hours later, and then everyone's like, whoa, hey, too much, whoa, and you're like, what the, it's like, this has been an all-day thing, getting jabbed, I go pop, and then you give them a little, you show them what you got, and then everyone's just like, yeah. But anyway, although I am a brother of 3 sisters instead of brother on brother, so
yeah, I'm sure you got some stories with that.
Right, that changes the dynamic a bit. But no, I love them all to death. But anyway, Chris and Eric, what's it like to be on the West Coast? I'm getting the warm weather vibes lately here in North Carolina. We've had 2 days in a row now. It's early February right now when we're recording, and it's been over 80 degrees.
Oh, wow. Man, see, that's the opposite over here, which is funny, right? Because like over here in California, we're very spoiled by the weather, and then LA especially, man. So right now, like the past month, it's been a funky month with just like a lot of rain. Even yesterday in the past week, it's been like around 50 degrees, which is pretty damn cold over here. So we're not liking the weather over here in January. So hopefully February, March brings a little bit more sunshine and a little bit more warmth.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. So yeah, it just always reminds me of vacationing to whether it's the West Coast or down to Florida. When it gets real warm here, I just love that tropical vibe.
Yeah.
I'd love to ask you guys, what's it like living out in LA? I know you guys are two down to earth people. You've been through a lot in your life already at a young age. You're both very driven. So I'm just wondering, what's it like to be in an area where, yes, there are a lot of driven people, but yes, there are also a lot of snakes or even just people who are not grounded and they're just out for themselves, or everyone thinks they'll be the next, I don't know, Tom Cruise or whatever. So what's it like living out there as being two grounded guys? Can you talk to us about that?
Ooh, man, I'm gonna give you guys the real down and dirty version of what I've experienced out here in LA in 2 years.
To provide some context for the listener, this is a question I'm very curious about because LA is a place where people will move, ambitious people will move. So I'm sure you've met a lot of great connections as well. But to ask the question, really, I'm asking because, like I said, like the area is an area of, it's kind of a hub, if you will. So yeah, go ahead and talk to us about that.
Yeah, let me back up a little bit. So we lived in Orange County, which if people aren't familiar, it's about 30, 45 minutes on a good day south of like LA and all that stuff. And we lived there for 3 years, but we always had that itch to come out to LA and see kind of what we're made of and see what kind of opportunities bring us and just see how it's going to mold us all together. Because the thing about us is we're all about building an armored mindset and really living a life worth telling a story about. So it could have been very easy for us to be like, hey, like we're in Orange County and like we have a 3-bedroom, townhouse and there's a pool there and there's a gated community and there's like a home gym there and everything's going great. We have an office in the house, right? But me and Eric are all about, really, really, maximizing our potential. And like I said, building an armored mindset.
And just thinking bigger and playing bigger too.
Yeah. So that took us to scratch that itch of coming out to LA. And, downsizing in what we're living in now and not having the office and all those luxuries. So, man, it's been a hustle out here, to be 100% honest. Every single day, you really have to come out to battle. You have to play offense. The way I look at it is you can't hit the snooze button out here in LA because everybody's up, everybody's hungry, everybody's chasing their dreams and they're after something. So you don't have time to sit there and hesitate. You don't have time to sit there and hit that snooze button. You got to be locked in and ready and very, very focused out here and maximize like your time, maximize the collaborations, everything that you have going on. That's the biggest thing I've learned out here, And I think too, going forward, I don't think LA is this big hub like it used to be. I think that there's a lot of other places that are growing everywhere around the country now to where everything's going on in different places. Obviously if like you want to come out here to LA and exploit like the film industry and entertainment, that's probably something you want to do. But like this isn't like the fitness hub like it used to be, like everybody thinks. It's not like all these different like places where it's like a specific type of industry that you have to be here to be around the action. It's not like that anymore that I've noticed. But I always tell people, if you have an itch to come out here or just like a city, then scratch that itch, because it's only going to make that life worth telling a story about more enhancing. It's also going to build an armored mindset. You're going to meet some people. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, frustrations. You're going to want to quit. But man, is it going to mold you into a really stronger-minded person and prep you for the bigger things to come in life.
Yeah, I think just to add just a quick point to that, Jonathan, like my experience too, I think you touched up on like just how there could be a lot of like snaky people out here. And absolutely, I mean, I think that's everywhere, but there is a lot of people out here where it's just they overpromise. I've noticed that, and everybody has to have some sort of perception out here to where they are crushing it or killing it. And it's funny because Chris made a post on this on Instagram 2 days ago, and I just can't stand that word because it's just very phony to me that, you're crushing it, you're killing it. Everybody seems to say that, but they're really not. I've noticed that. And yeah, everyone always, a lot of people out here, just like I said, they say they know someone or they'll do this for you, do that. And it's just a big disappointment. It's just a lot of lessons that have been learned on our end. And it's only made us stronger, just mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to where, it's fine, and we just have to be a little bit more selective with our inner circle of people and just how to utilize our time a little bit better.
And energy.
I like that. I have a lot of questions off of that. I'm going to focus in on this one first. How do you underpromise and over-deliver? How do you guys do that in your life?
I just don't ever talk a big game. For me, I'm never going to sit there and overpromise something to any of my clients or any of my friends that I know I can't deliver. I just, that's not what I'm about. So I don't have like this like formula or, you know, this type of like thing that I can really give you guys like real practical advice to go do. But for me, it's just as simple as like what we were talking about earlier, going back to the basics and the fundamentals, right? Just if you can't deliver something, then don't sit there and hype it up. You know,
Right.
our mentor is Dan Fleyshman. He says, don't talk about it, be about it. And that just means just be silent. If you can do something, cool. You know, you don't have to sit there and brag about it on social media or sit there and just hype yourself up to be somebody you're not, you know. And I'm huge about reputation and integrity. And, you know, once somebody sits there and crosses me like that, I mean, I'm always going to look at them differently and not sit there and really probably trust them or, you know, collab with them or anything like that. So that's the type of integrity that I bring to my clients, my community. Never over-promising, but always trying to over-deliver, always trying to add value and having that integrity to be there.
And I want to add just like a little context to this, Jonathan. So like if we looked at this kind of like in a practical setting, like with like, let's say our inner circle students where we teach gym owners, fitness professionals how to build an online business. It's difficult to do that. It's not an easy thing. And that's why Chris and I wanted to do it because it's challenging. We've done it for the last 10 years. And first thing that comes to like a question, you know, from these students is just like, oh, well, I want to make, you know, 6 figures in, you know, 3 months and this and that and get this many clients. I'm just like, yeah, that's great. You know, I think we all want to shoot for that, but you know, you have to play the long game in business. You have to build the foundation in your business. Then, you know, you want to, what we like to have that 3 tiers in the businesses is just that you have to stabilize your business, then optimize it, then expand it. We really have to drill that home to our students. Tell them like, look, guys, we're not going to sit there and tell you guys that we can make you guys a 6-figure business in 3 months. It's just, is it possible for some people? Yeah, but I'm not going to sit there and promise that. I'm not going to put that in my messaging. That's a lot to promise somebody. Again, it just goes back to reputation, having one name. And, you know, if you don't deliver the goods, I mean, people are just going to talk. And I mean, there goes your brand.
It's tough. It's definitely not something, it's not easy to do if you are not a courageous person. That's a good word. I like the word courage because it insinuates that there may be some apprehension or even a little bit of fear there, but you do it anyway in the face of that because you know it's what it takes. And I love that word courage for that reason.
Yeah, I agree. I like that too.
What's it like leading leaders? A guy I really respect a lot is Tim Story, and his thing is that he really is all about leading leaders. With you guys, I notice this as well because you're going to be working with business owners, entrepreneurs online. This is kind of a new space, and you guys are out there navigating it, kind of trailblazing a bit. You guys are serving the entrepreneur, which I love that model because, as you guys know, and if you remember like the gold rush, the people who made the money were the people. Levi Strauss, he made the jeans for the miner, for the gold. I guess it was gold diggers. I don't know what they're called.
There's a lot out here of that.
Yeah. So look out for them. But yeah, that, and then the shovels, the people who made the shovels. So you're standing there as people come to work and you're like, here's a shovel, $10. Here's a shovel, $10. Here's a shovel, $10. This is just a sad analogy, but you get the picture. And you guys are serving the entrepreneur who's excited. They're driven. They have a service mentality. They want to help people. And you guys are helping them to get soaring in their businesses. So what is it like working with them? What is it like helping to calibrate people's business compass as they're maybe a newer entrepreneur, or maybe they're kind of burnt out and they're coming to you guys for some help? What's it like?
Yeah, it's a great question, Jonathan. It's an amazing and gratifying feeling, and it's a lot of work though. The key thing is to think bigger and play bigger in life. And a lot of us are conditioned not to do that, right? With our upbringing, you know, maybe we're just with like, you know, the school system, we're never really taught to think big and play big in life. We're conditioned to just kind of get through, just be very consistent, the status quo type of thing. So I really try to just expand their mindset. That's where it all is. If your inner world, which is your mindset, is not happy, if you're not playing big in your inner world, then you're not going to play big in your outer world, right? The exterior part of everything, your environment, your actions, everything. So we have to really condition that mindset to play bigger and think bigger. And I really like what you mentioned, Tim Story. I've listened to some of Tim Story's stuff, and he used this great analogy with his coaching students. And he talks about the analogy of the Olympics. You have the bronze medal, you have the silver medal, and then the gold medal. How do we get these students and entrepreneurs to play at the gold medal level, right? Nobody wants to play at that bronze and silver medal, right? It's like we want to sit there and push it to the limits. We want to exhaust every avenue possible to make that vision and dream come true, to sit there and have a great business. So once they understand that, they take action. They really do. Instead of just being like, hey guys, here's all this stuff that I need you to do and build and blah, 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 these sales funnel, landing pages, all this other crap. It's like, no, man, all that stuff is like, that comes after all that. It's like, let's build the foundation. Let's figure out what your why is, your purpose. Let's get very clear on who it is, you want to serve and play big.
Yeah, something to add to that too, Jonathan, is really having them buy into just maximizing their individual potential. Because another thing that we got from Tom Bilyeu is, he made this analogy of just everybody, if you draw a straight line, everybody has that straight line of potential. When you really think about it, everybody has the same exact potential when we first get started with everything. Sure, there's people out there that have, or that are born into resources, born into money. They have, their process is accelerated a little bit more. Other people have to work harder. But when you think about it, the average amount of people do have, that same amount of potential. But obviously, there's going to be people out there that are going to, really maximize their potential more. They're going to grind a little bit more. They're going to sit there and hustle a little bit more. They're going to put themselves in a better environment. So we try to get them to really buy into that mindset of maximizing your potential, because if some other can do it, so can you. You know what I mean? You just have to believe, and you have to have the mindset to do it.
All right, this is big. The mindset, right? For me, when I used to do fitness consulting, and I had a client out in Texas. He was like a web developer, and his bosses were very entrepreneurial as well. So was he. He was doing some big projects on the side, but he was, a little bit skinny. He was wanting to get in shape, put on some muscle, and it started with, all right, man, here's a list of things of how you're going to have to change the way you think and how you're approaching this. It was weird, but the stuff that he picked up and didn't put back down, he ran with and did well with it, but he burned out pretty quick because I guess I wasn't an effective leader in that setting as much as I wanted to be, because I was really performance driven. I was saying, hey, here's a list. Here's what you're going to have to do if you want to achieve what you say you want to achieve. At the end of the day, most people are not willing to do it. They're not willing to be in the dirt that long. They're not willing to forge the character. They're not willing to, and I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying most people aren't. It's a rare breed, to be honest. So how do you facilitate that when people go through growing pains and they're like, well, do I really have to do that, Eric or Chris? Do I really have to change the way I'm thinking about my approach to this? I just want to start to make some money. I want to serve people. So how do you deal with those people? Because I'm sure that happens a lot.
Yeah, it's very tough. And again, I'm going to go back to saying I don't have like this like set blueprint. The one thing I have noticed, even for myself too, is the number one step is being open, to changing and being open to doing like personal growth work, because that's what's going to lead to the mindset change. So if these people aren't even open to, maybe like reading something as far as personal development or attending something or putting themselves in an uncomfortable situation where it's like, yeah, you're going to have some different conversations as opposed to what you're normally talking to with your boys or your girls, right? So maybe some business stuff or personal growth stuff. If they're not open to that, then right there, they already have that barrier that they're judging themselves. They're judging whatever the process is to enhance their growth or maximize their potential.
Yeah.
And there's not much I can do about that. There's only so much I can do as a coach. You know what I mean? And that's another thing is people just have to come to the conclusion as coaches that there's only so much sometimes you can do. It's like the old analogy. You can take a horse to the water, but you can't force him to drink the water,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to answer your question too, Jonathan, because for me, it's just having a heart-to-heart conversation with each one of these students and entrepreneurs. I really hammer it home to them in like their VIP days, VIP coaching days, when they come to our office and do like a full hour coaching day with us. I explain to them that, the journey and that success is not guaranteed, that you have to buy into, reframing your mind to accept that uphill battle in business and in that entrepreneurial journey, that it's not going to be smooth. It's not. And the quicker you can buy into that mentality, just the better the scenery is going to be. It really, really is. So once I really talk to them about that, and some of them will understand it and some of them won't. And that's just what it comes down to, because at the end of the day, there's people that take action and there's those that don't. Yeah, it's a great question that you asked, and it's a tough one to answer too, though.
Now, you guys mentioned thinking bigger. I love that. That's so powerful, realizing that we are living through an internet. Yeah, and so now we're living through this internet thing, and so many things that stopped me in the beginning were just things like, oh, I'm too late. That's such a lie, though, because this is brand new. When did Instagram stories come out? A little over a year ago, maybe? And no, they weren't that good when they first came out.
That's when Eric started doing his makeup on stories.
Yeah, they got some good filters, so you don't even have to do it anymore. You can just pretend.
I'm gonna get
So
'em.
thinking bigger. So going back to under promising, over delivering. Chris and Eric, to acknowledge you, I was out in a conference last September, and I think I texted you at the time, but I met some people there. It's particularly one guy. I think he met you through Thrive, and I was like, yeah, you know,
Greatness Mastermind?
no, oh yes, it wasn't a mastermind. It was actually the conference.
Oh yeah,
Lewis
yeah.
House.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was meeting a bunch of great people there. Oh yeah, this guy probably knows Chris and Eric. And I asked him, and he was like, oh yeah, I know Chris and Eric. Those are two great guys. You know, I had nothing but nice things to say about you. And I could tell he meant it. When you're going around and you realize how quickly your reputation can grow, especially when you are genuine and authentic in your approach to what you're doing, it's just powerful. You guys are a great example of that.
Yeah,
and so, yeah, for sure. I also want to ask you, we got two health guys on the show today. So, you know, in 2019, like you said, January's flown by. I couldn't agree more. Now February, we're over a week in already. It's just blowing my mind. How can we actually think? We'll get into health after this, but I want to ask you, how can we actually think and play bigger, and why does it matter?
Like in the context of health or just in overall life?
Yeah, let's put a context around it. That's a good point. Career-wise. So if someone's listening and they are entrepreneurial or they're an entrepreneur with a business, how can they start to think and play bigger? Why does it matter? Because one thing I noticed is that one of the biggest things that really wasn't any accomplishment, it was really just a thing I learned through 2018's processes. Towards the end of the year, it hit me, Chris and Eric. There is no arrival ever. Accomplishment. Like it actually hit me when I landed one of my bigger guests in the past that year. I was blown away, and I was thinking to myself, I've been literally praying and dreaming about this all year, and it's happening. And I realized though, after that was over, it was like, okay, think bigger. What's next? What's next? What's next? You know, it's what's next. And so I realized that you can really make some rich content. You can make some great things, even from just the way you approach it. And so I guess that would be the context. Like, why is it important that we continuously think bigger and onward, forward? And how can we actually start to do that if we're somebody who has a lot of maybe negative self-image or a little bit of self-doubt, or, oh, I can never do that?
So why is it important to think bigger and play bigger? Just because, I mean, you got to think about it, man. We get one shot at this thing called life, and it goes fairly fast. I mean, we do live a long life. We take care of ourselves, but it does go fast. And we are, at the end of the day, we're the narrator and the leading roles of our stories and the books that we're writing, right? The journey. So you can't sit there and be a supporting actor or actress. You have to be the lead, role and narrator to the story, because everything that we do stems from our actions and, our mindset and our beliefs and everything and our environment. So you have to think bigger and play bigger in life. It's just one of those things. Imagine the regret you're going to live with. I always tell people that you're going to go to your grave and you're not going to regret like arguments you had, that money you lost and this and that. You're always going to regret that. What if, and what if I did try that? What if I did take action on this? That's a big thing with like playing bigger and thinking bigger, is just that, you only get one shot at this, and it's like, just play big, play big in life. I mean, it's just, there's no reason not to. And the way we could start doing this, Jonathan, is just, start slowly with some form of personal development or personal growth, but I always tell people that just be careful with this, because there's like a double-edged sword with this, that if you are going to go down that route with personal development, you have to really change your entire environment, right? You have to put yourself around people that are thinking bigger and trying to get better as well, too. If you sit there and get a bunch of personal development books, audiobooks, go to conferences, but you're still hanging out with that same crowd, that same environment that's thinking small and not playing big like you, then you're never going to put those things into action, and it's never going to recondition your mindset. But vice versa, if you go and hang out with people that are playing bigger, thinking bigger, doing the work, and you're doing the work, I mean, goodness gracious, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, and then I would say too, Jonathan, like something me and him, like there's a little small difference on how we see this. Eric, I like what he says, that the life is a long game. It does go fast, but then again, here's where I see it a little bit differently, right? It could be a long game, right? It could, But then I think everybody has a death sentence as well too, and we don't know when that death sentence is. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. That's the way I look at it. I think that's what keeps that fire lit under me every single day is I don't know when my death sentence is. I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow or the next day or in a month or 2 years. You know what I mean? So that's what drives me, and I think everybody needs to kind of, come to fruition with that and really realize that, yeah, life could be long, but what on the other side though, it may not be long. We don't know. So why would you sit there and waste any time to sit there and make all these excuses and not put what you truly want to do at the forefront and go after it,
Yeah. The only finish line is death. The only finish line is death. So I resonate with that. A way to play bigger or to start playing bigger, the tactical steps you guys can take, start small, start. The issue is you don't want to dabble, but yeah, I agree. I definitely want to start with the internal world of you as a human, as a person. I think that's important for sure. In terms of tactical business focused steps that you can take, I found a huge benefit from relocation. I knew that I grew up in Jersey, and Jersey kind of had its moment in economically. It still booms, but there are parts of the state that, that time kind of came and went, maybe 20, 30 years ago. And I'm a young adult. I'm a young professional. I'm hungry. I'm driven. I'm looking around at the opportunity, the environment. And I'm like, as much as I love home and I'll stay loyal to it, shout out to Jersey, I really want to be around more new, fresh growth economically. I want to be around some opportunistic environments. I want to be around people who bring up my energy. I want to facilitate that not only through having a podcast, but also relocating myself. And you have to remain flexible. And some people listening may say, well, I have a family, I have pets, I can't do that, I have a job. Fine. But there is always something you can do. There's always something you can do. If you're a single guy, a single girl, and you're hungry, you're driven, and you want to get out of your comfort zone, relocation can be tough, man, but it's really forged some courage in me, and I do not regret it. I got to tell you, being from Jersey, moving down south, I've found most people are incredibly kind. As much as there's cultural differences that I've had to adapt to and learn about, where I'm living is not the country backwoods. It's actually in like booming cities and metro, and there's people from New York, from California, from everywhere here, international students from all these colleges. I live right in between 3 major universities as well, so that helps because then they get hired and stay. So it's a really cool area of hardworking people who can push you. You just meet someone at the gym and you find out that they're like a manager at some tech company, and you would never know, because people lay low. People who are really winning, they lay low. And that's what I respect about you, Chris and Eric. Another thing is just you guys really are about it. So you, like you mentioned earlier with one of the earlier questions, how to not overpromise, but actually overdeliver and not talk. I love that approach. And I think that's almost common sense for a lot of us because we understand. But now so many people online, that's not obvious to them, and it makes them look bad. For us, it's like, yeah, okay, that's common sense. If I'm going around flexing all the time, did you ever read How to Win Friends and Influence People? It just makes other people feel like, what are you trying to do? It's not going to help. But there are moments of moral authority, and that's stuff I've had to learn through is like, all right, I have to actually show, okay, like actually I know what I'm talking about, and here's why. It's like, oh, dang, okay. So there's moments of that. Yeah, the energy that I get from being around other winners is huge. And here's another thing I want to share. I don't think anyone listening that you would be a poser or anything, but for the people who are maybe newer to the entrepreneurial space, newer to being very committed to your goals, incredibly proactive, you're never going to fool true winners. And this is something that really resonated with me at a hugely deep level because it's probably not the right adjective. I don't care. Because I can posture, I can pretend, I can front, but true winners, I'm never going to fool. And then I looked at it and I was like, who's a true winner in my life? And I was like, okay, I have my brother-in-law. I got my friend over here. He's running a fencing business. I got these guys over here are working for this company. And you realize they're almost ghost on every platform. They're not online unless their business is an online business. Then they're out there present like you guys. But they are ghost on almost like they are hard and elusive people to find. They are not caring zero about what people think about them. And I realized, I was like, all right, my brother-in-law sells multiple houses a week. Most real estate agents can't do that in a month. But look, he doesn't talk about it. He doesn't care. He doesn't even think if you ask him, he'd probably say, I have a ton of improvement to go through. Like he knows he's got a gift, but he also recognizes that, I can always improve. So it's just a mindset. It's this energy that you can get from being around other people. Can you talk to us a bit more about the benefits of being around the right kind of people and what that will do if you are not? Because some of us will say, all right, I'll listen to podcasts and audiobooks. That's a great first step. Now they're looking into, maybe I should relocate to a new city after I graduate. I'm really scared about that. Or maybe I did my first couple years in corporate America. Now I want to check out a new city. What's some words of encouragement and some tips that you can share? Maybe just sharing with them, hey, it's not so scary once you do it. People lend a helping hand if you let them know you need a hand. So share with us what you got.
Yeah, so this is Chris. I'll kind of elaborate on the relocation thing on that because I think it's so important. I'm glad you mentioned that. And then I'll have my big sister actually add some stuff onto that because I know he has some stuff down. So yeah, let me be a little bit serious here. Okay, so like with the whole relocation thing, Jonathan, I think you hit the nail right on the head with that. And the reason being is because life is such a dynamic game. It really, really is. It's so dynamic, man. The old days of just like it being very static and status quo. I mean, if that's really what's going to like make you happy at the end of the day, then by all means live that type of lifestyle. But that's why we preach live a dynamic lifestyle, because you have to be fluid. You have to be strong, energetic. You have to build that armored mindset. You have to try new things out. And then relocating is one of the biggest things, because at the end of the day, you're the one that has to look at yourself in the mirror every single day, and you're the one that has to be happy. And I think way too many people sit there and stay in like the same cities that they're born in, or they're scared to move to an LA or New York or outside of the country because they do it because of the way of their upbringing was.
Or they put others first.
They put others first. They're going to let their parents down. They're going to let their friends down. They're going to let their boss down. At the end of the day, who goes home every single day to look in the mirror, and who has to be happy? It has to be you. So if that's something you want to do, and say the weather sucks, or you hate your job, or you hate your environment, then get out of town and try something new, because you're the one that has to be happy every single day. And I promise if you relocate somewhere and you want to just scratch that itch, I'm sure it's going to increase your happiness a little bit, a little bit. If not, I mean, it might make this huge dramatic change in your lifestyle. You never know.
Yeah, and huge fist pump to you, Jonathan, for taking action on that and changing your environment, man. So to add to on your network and being around other like-minded people, it's just learning through osmosis. That's what it comes down to, is just playing bigger, like I said, just acquiring that mindset, acquiring different habits that these successful people are doing and what they've been doing, for the past several years to put them in that position. That's what I think is the great part about it. But I want to also be very honest about this too, just because I've noticed this too, the last year or so, that even if somebody is successful, even if somebody is very wealthy, doesn't mean they're a good person. And I've noticed,
wow. Yeah,
I'm huge on that, man. I'm very observant. I'm very just old school. Like I was brought up with a lot of good manners. Like I'm just very respectful. And you notice certain things from people that are, successful, wealthy, and it's like they put themselves on a pedestal. And it's just, I don't like that. I don't resonate with that. That's not who I am as a person. And that turns me off. So got to be careful with that too. And just be very observant, go with your gut feeling, and, learn from them, certain things, but doesn't mean you have to take everything and apply it to your life and try to emulate everything they do. Because again, it doesn't mean that they're a good person inside or they have really good intentions. So I just want to make that clear. But yeah, I think that just building your network in general is a very, very smart thing to do. The right people, just because these days having an alliance is very powerful, and it will be more powerful going forward. So yeah, that's my kind of stance on just networking and just, being around people that are like-minded.
Boom. So share your greatest success and greatest failure of 2018.
Whew, man, that's a good one, Jonathan. Okay. Yeah, I think the greatest success was, I think, just gaining more clarity, man. Just honestly, I could say, like, I can talk about highlights and stuff of building certain things, but for me, it was getting more clear as a person, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, as to what I want to do going forward, and just be very, very intentional with what I do, with both content and just, who I am as a person and the messages that I'm serving to other people. I want to be very intentional, and I want to just deliver value to people, because we are in this realm and era where it's a know, like, trust era. And I really try to hammer this on my students too, to where it's like, man, it's getting harder and harder. So you better retain your clients. You better treat them very well. Go the extra mile. It's a know, like, trust approach where you have to deliver value to warm people up, to really get them to know you, like you, trust you. So it was a big epiphany for me too, and with that, and just getting more clear, man, just going forward as to don't get pulled in too many directions, just stay focused and stay in my lane with what I'm trying to do. Don't compare myself to other people. Yeah, those are some really big wins for me all around.
Yeah, and I would say some of one of the biggest failure, and again, I don't like using it as failure. I like using it as a lesson learned to apply into 2019, is kind of like what Eric said towards the end, is just trying to chase too many rabbits. You can only catch one. And that's the thing what we were doing. We're just trying to chase too many rabbits, trying to do too many things. Even though there's two of us, even though that we have a team, even though that we're freaking work machines, you can't focus on 5 different things and optimize those things. And it's just, it's one of those things where we tell our students too, and we're guilty of doing these things. I think that we're getting more clear on that, of not to chase so many things, not try to do so many things, just really stay focused. I think people can really do 2 or 3 things, two or three big projects throughout the year and really stay focused on those and maximize those. So that's what we're trying to do this year. It's just a lesson learned from last year, is just really try to focus on 2 to 3 big things. It's going to move the needle every single year. And, it's not going to sit there and move it 10 or 20 years that fast. It's going to move it a little bit. That's just what it is these days. People think that things are just going to happen overnight, man, and just like at the snap of your fingers, and the lack of patience. And it's like, what's wrong with something taking 2 or 3 years or even 5 years to build out? You know what I mean? So us, it's just coming to being grounded with that and just really focusing on that and being more clear.
I agree. For myself, I think clarity, by the way, is one of the biggest successes you can have. Clarity on how you're going to approach what you're going to do, and I think part of that is taking choice, 2 to 3 things to focus in on. Would you agree?
Exactly. Oh, absolutely.
All right, so I want to transition now. We'll jump right into the Heart Healthy Hustle round. I'm going to ask you a series of rapid fire questions. Are you guys ready?
I don't know if she's ready.
I don't know.
Let's do it.
Here we go. I love it. The first category is heart. What activity do you use to care for and strengthen your internal character? Chris, we'll start with you.
Man, you always get me on these these rounds with this, man. So what do I use to strengthen my internal character?
Yeah, and care for it.
Okay. Something I'm really trying to do this year is take at least 1 day off, during the week. So I dedicate Sundays to not even opening up my laptop. I don't really do much social media. I'm trying to be very present. And then once a month, take at least a weekend off. And then every quarter, take an entire week off. So I'm really, really trying to apply that so that I can be more kind of in tune with like my internal being and just be more present in life.
Has that been helping you? What have you noticed?
And it's barely started this year. So like last month, I took off, 2 days, which was freaking hard because I normally only take Sunday off. But to take off a weekend, that was tough. But I liked it. It was good.
Yeah, I've noticed too that Chris is less snappy at me at the beginning of the week.
I was going to laugh, but then I realized you're dead serious.
He's kind of right on that.
No, that's true. It can be very true. I think it helps me as well to be less irritable when I take that proper time to recharge. I mean, it really does. It works.
Absolutely.
What about you, Eric?
For me, I've been trying to get a little bit more in tune with my spirituality. It's very tough. It's very challenging, and that's what I like about it. So I've been reading a couple of books. The first one I read was called The Power of Myth, and it's just very deep, Jonathan, like to where like I read half of it and I try to consume it as much as possible and keep an open mind with everything. And, I had to put it down for a little bit. So I'm taking a little bit of a break from it just because it was a lot to handle. I'm just really trying to just get more in tune with my spirituality. I think it's very, very important just, to gain more clarity as a person. I'm all about getting 1% better in all areas of life. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to take care of myself inside, and then if I love myself a little bit more, if I'm a little bit more, mindful and just, I use better words to, just, appreciate myself, appreciate others. I think it's going to be a big carryover into how I serve others as well, too.
That's powerful. Thanks for sharing that, guys.
You're welcome.
For health, how do you maintain and constantly improve your physical health?
Man, we just started like a cut this week on Monday. We're going to do like an 8-week moderate dieting phase just to have a little challenge. I just need that push. I was kind of going through the motions through the holidays. You know how that works. Started that, and then just doing boxing still, just being consistent with doing boxing, and it can carry over into my lifestyle. When you're doing boxing lessons, you're in that ring. You have to be so focused to what you're doing, the movements, the punches coming at you, or else you're going to get knocked out, get knocked down. So if you're not focused in all areas, you're going to lose sight and you're going to get knocked down, and chances are you might not get back up. So I apply that analogy to my lifestyle, to where it's like, if I'm going to get done, if I want to be very successful, I want to help other people and do big things, play big in life, I have to stay focused. I have to sit there and lock in every single day and be focused on what I'm doing, or else it's not going to happen.
2019, I'm really focused on is the fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
And how important and how powerful the consistency of fundamentals can be and is in true success and long game, and even in the short term. You have no clarity, then you don't know what limitations to operate within, and it can drive you insane. It could create a lot of restlessness, almost anxiety sometimes, because you're not sure what box you're supposed to be playing in or what ring you're supposed to be boxing in,
Right.
And it can really drive you crazy. For anyone listening who they're struggling with, all right, how do I make that decision? What do I want to do? In particular, let's focus on the category of health. How can they make a choice on, okay, I'm going to go to this fitness boot camp every Monday night, and they'll start with that, let's say. How can we facilitate a decision to provide ourselves clarity around our physical health?
What is your why and purpose in your fitness journey? Because so many people can come to us and say, hey, Chris and Eric, I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to get in bikini shape, or, I want abs. But we know, well, at the end of the day, that's not the major pain point. There's something underlying that's driving that. Just take out a piece of paper, put a line in there, and just be like, what is your why? Why do you want to sit there and get in shape? Just go really deep on this. There's no right or wrong answers in this. Just go deep, do a brain dump. Why do you want to lose 20 pounds? Why do you want to get in this specific dress? Why do you want to, get in such good shape to go on this vacation? And you'll see a lot of great stuff kind of come out of this brain dump. And that leads to a lot of clarity, on what kind of the next steps are. What is it going to be? Maybe I need to join a gym. Maybe I need to have a personal trainer. Maybe I need to be in more of a group environment like CrossFit, or maybe like a boot camp or a cycle class, whatever it is. But just start with that. And that will really, really kind of just like get your creative juices going within your fitness journey.
Don't judge yourself if you do that journaling. I would highly recommend that. I might jump into that myself.
Yeah, it's good.
And
I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
Anytime you have that and you really figure out what that true why and purpose is, you'll look back when it gets tough in your fitness journey. Your fitness journey is just like life. There's going to be times where it's like you think you have the perfect diet, the perfect training program, and something's going to throw a curveball at you to try to throw you off on that, and you're going to look back at that why and that purpose and be like, this is exactly why I need to stay focused. This is why I need to keep doing what I'm doing. And that reignites that fire of motivation to keep going on it.
That's powerful. And don't judge yourself. If you sit down, just journal, commit to 2 minutes, but sit there as long as it takes to really brain dump why. And you may say, oh, I just want to look really good so people notice me. That's okay. Like, write all of that out. Be completely honest about it. I have many reasons why. I think the biggest for me is, I don't know if I shared this with you guys before, but my family's health history isn't terrible, but there's been some recurring patterns with health. One was dementia, which I think that's something now with the science that's out that is, I don't know if it's 100% avoidable, but I think there's a lot more research out on it now, and getting moving a lot. Motion is lotion. There's antioxidants that take away those free radicals that can really mess up the wiring in your brain and break up those plaques. So there's a lot of things that I am really focused on as to why it's important for me. And it blows my mind, for those listeners 40 and up, right? I want to speak directly to you. Get thinking about your long-term health. I had a guy on, Michael O'Brien, and I said, what is something you would tell your younger self and why? And he actually said he would tell his parents, he'd have a conversation with his parents who were in their 50s at the time. He never told them. He said he would have told them at a younger age, start thinking about your long-term health.
Yeah.
Because present day Michael, he was saying, was going through a lot with them and their health, and it was hard. So I think that's a great point for anyone, everyone, but especially those of us who are 40 and up. Really start thinking of your long game of health. Get really serious about it. Chris and Eric, let's jump into the hustle. What's your main motivation for doing what you do, hustling to reach the best version of yourselves?
For me, Jonathan, it's just it's always going to be living a life worth telling a story about for me, and just always having a great legacy and creating impact on other people's lives. I want to, finish this life. I want to live a long life, but I always want to look back and just be like, man, I played big. I thought big, and I laid it all out on the table, no matter what. Maybe I had some crazy thoughts and stuff, but so be it. and most importantly, just enjoying the journey, not forgetting that every day is so valuable and that you're going to have ups and downs. It's okay. It's part of that journey. But that's the things we're going to look back at too and appreciate. And it's going to make us, just even better as people. And that's it for me.
Yeah, and for me, it's just going through what we call hell. We went through those dark times for 6 years after we lost our father, and I saw how fast he was taking, from us, and how it completely shifted our entire world. And we lost half of our mom too. When that happened that night. So I know how fast things can be taken away in this life, and you can't take things for granted. And I've been in hell for 6 years, and I refuse to go back. That's when we hit pretty much our rock bottom, which I think everybody hits the rock bottom at some point. So I just know not to ever go back. And I just know that life is very short, and it could be long as well too, but I don't know that. I don't have the answer to it. So I refuse to sit there and waste any time to sit there and maximize my potential, live a life worth telling a story about, and making a hell of an impact to others.
It's so short. I really appreciate you guys sharing that. Again, I can't acknowledge you enough for turning that tragedy into triumph. There's some things that happen to us in life that never really go away. You can never fully heal from certain things. I just don't believe you can. I think as humans, we are fragile, and there's just certain things that will forever change the way you live your life and the way you view the world. And that being said, I do admire you guys a lot for that in particular. Can you guys share with us some favorite software tools that you use, project management that you can recommend?
Yeah, I got one. The one I've been messing with as of late, it's called Cut Story app for Instagram stories. For me, when I do Instagram stories, I hate when it cuts off, but I think they changed that feature just recently, which is kind of cool. What the Cut Story app is, you can just actually film a video on your camera roll on your phone, and just whether it's a minute, 2 minutes, you're not interrupted, so you can just get a really good, clear message out. And then that Cut Story app, you upload it to that, and it just chops it up into 15-second videos for Instagram in particular. So I think it's a really cool app, and it's just very useful for Instagram stories.
For me, since Eric thinks that he manages Instagram all the time, I'm going to go a different route on this. I'm going to actually challenge your listener. So tools are great, apps are great, but I challenge you guys to do this going forward in 2019. Since a lot of these tools and apps now have audio and video components, start using those. Don't sit there and be that person to text and email and type all the time. Start using the video, or at least the audio component, and you'll get better with your voice. You'll get better on video, and just try that. Just experiment with it. That's a challenge for me.
Boom. What do you guys think is holding back most proactive young professionals?
I wish I had the one answer to this. I'm just going to go back and say just fear. And I think that's just going to be them really doing the personal growth work of digging really, really deep and finding what that underlying root of the cause of that problem is, and it may be something happened to them. A tragedy might be their upbringing, might be somebody bullied them, somebody really, really installed some fear into them. I don't know what it is. I can't answer that for them, but I think it's fear going forward of failing and just the what if and all that. So I would just advocate, just dig deep, and just figure out what that underlying root is that's really holding you back from maximizing your potential going forward.
Yeah, I agree with Chris, and I would say too, just to add that, just too many external voices nowadays where too many shiny objects, too much comparison. There's just too much out there, too much information to consume. We're not programmed to consume all this information, and most importantly, retain it and thus execute it. So I think it's a combination of all of that to where it paralyzes you, causes paralysis by overanalysis, too much overthinking. People want everything to be perfect. There's a lot that goes into it, but I think all of that is playing a big role in it.
Guys, this isn't a practice round, and that's part of the reason I love you guys speaking on this, because you've seen the volatility of life firsthand. To hear you guys talk about there is an hourglass, you're not promised tomorrow. Everything can change in an instant. It's so freaking true. So guys, do not wait any longer. And I'm talking to everybody. I'm talking to the people who are doing a lot already. Get clarity, decide, commit, be focused, let go of the fear, do it anyway. Realize that it doesn't matter if you fall on your face. It's better to do that sooner than later. Realize that this isn't a practice round. You have today and make the most of it. So Chris and Eric, I'm so excited that you were on today again, round 2 with the dynamic duo of the fitness industry. I appreciate you guys. I love hearing what you have to say on these impactful questions, and your time has meant a lot to me today. Share with my audience, how can we connect with you, follow up with you after the show?
Yeah, I was going to say Jonathan, because Eric always thanks, the first people firsthand. So I'm going to jump in and say thank you so much again for having us on this show, man. Great questions. So just thank you so much for use your platform to reach more people and have an impact. We really appreciate that.
Thanks, Jonathan.
100%.
Thank you.
And if you want to connect with us, let's start off with our fitness side of the coaching. That's dynamicduotraining.com. If you're interested in like the fitness business side of stuff, that's dynamicinnercircle.com. If you're interested in our podcast, liveadynamiclifestyle.com. Speaking, chrisandericmartinez.com/speaking.
And then social media, Chris and Eric Martinez.
Okay. What's getting you out of bed currently in the morning? What's exciting you today?
Moving the needle forward with like that project I said, the accelerator program. We just started that on Monday with hungry personal training students from all around the world. I'm pumped, man. It's a great little model that we put together, and we have a big vision for it going forward. So I'm just excited to just over-deliver. That's what we always do with our programs, is over-deliver, go above and beyond to just show them the possibility.
Congratulations on making it to the end of this episode. What about this episode stood out to you? Next, I need your help sharing this show. I want this podcast to impact and reach 6,000 people per episode by August 31st, 2019. And I want us to reach 15,000 people per month by March 29th, 2020. Have you been enjoying multiple episodes of The Heart Healthy Hustle? I'm thrilled to share with you an exclusive invitation to join our new Facebook community. To get to know other Heart Healthy Hustlers, simply go to thehearthealthyhustle.com/Facebook, where you can expect to see different members of our community being featured weekly in Facebook Live calls. I appreciate all of your love and support, and I will see you in the next episode. As always, be generous on every occasion. There is a story for you, and live wide open.